before, but have you ever seen RuPaul's Drag Race?
I have. I love that show.
Okay, I also love that show. So being a like an architectural like educator for studio is a lot like when RuPaul goes around to everybody's like them making outfits. So yeah, that idea of like RuPaul like going around and like to everybody and being like, oh, like what are you working on? It's like almost exactly the same. And in fact, when you take that approach to doing like what they're called desk critiques, you basically go around and look at what people's progress is, and you try to help them like find a kernel of something interesting. It's exactly like that. It's like basically you, as like a studio instructor, you have to very, very quickly understand what their like internal goal is, or their design goal is, or like the sort of underlying concept, and you have to sort of I don't know, like almost enable them to be to get to there.
Yeah.
Because they always have like a pretty decent idea, but not necessarily the execution to get to that idea like perfect yet.
Oh, yeah, your role is less to like tell them they're doing it right or wrong, and more to tell them, hey, that's cool, maybe try this.
Yeah, and also the thing that I never like thought I was good at, like being like having good like references and like a big library of references, I find myself doing that a lot. It's like, oh, like I see what you're doing, like this is the sort of underlying design mechanism that you're going for. Like I can think of a couple projects or a couple of authors that like sort of exemplify that, and most of the time they don't know who these people are. So it's like I never thought that I'd be just being like name dropping, be like, oh, have you heard of this person? Like they did something similar to this. You should look at them, and that like always helps them because I always forget that they're young.
Yeah, so like they haven't got their masters.
Yeah, like they don't have the sort of I don't know cultural experience, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say I don't know whether this is a thing in other like sort of schools or like other types of education, but in architecture school, like everybody kind of has a style.
Oh my god.
Like everybody has a style of how they teach studio. Like I've had a couple of professors. I've had a professor that like was just like totally insane, and would always be like, you don't like know what you're doing. Like this is totally devoid of any sort of reality. Like all of these designs would never get built, which is like fair enough. I mean, because it's so like opinion based and it's so objective based or subjective based. Sorry. I'll edit that out, Matt. And I don't know, like it's very strange. Like there's not one approach to how to teach studio. Like I always, so in teaching studio, I always feel an impulse to always be more intrigued by sort of the radical approaches of stuff. Particularly when it comes to this studio, I question the student's assertion that there needs to be a stage and there needs to be an audience, and that relationship is always sort of the way it is.
Yeah.
So I would say if I were to put a style on how I teach, I always try to find sort of the weird lefty radical sort of, like I'm always more interested in how things are undermined than how things are sort of put together.
Yeah, like the whole like you don't accept authority, you question it, and whether it's legitimate or not, like the thoughts.
Yeah, I think that also maybe plays into the fact that in architecture there are like styles of doing things, like like there was the modernists who were like super strict and rational. There was the postmodernists who tried to undermine the sort of existing structure, and there's the deconstructivists that try to basically deconstruct both of those things. So I think that a lot plays into how you teach.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe the contemporary pedagogy is to find kernels of how to undermine the existing.
Yeah.
Maybe. And there was a thing when I was teaching on Thursday. They were doing like more formal reviews where basically you pin up and you bring a model and you basically present your big idea and you present your building and how that building prescribes to that idea. And I found that the first sort of clump of students were just pinning their stuff up on a wall and putting their model behind them, and then like presenting in front of their sort of colleagues and us, and it felt really stiff. And I'm like, you don't actually have to do presentations like this way. I was just like, if you want, I've always found it more engaging, and like your ideas are better if it's more collaborative and conversational. Mm-hmm. So like, if you want, just like put everything on the table, let people interact with your objects, with your pictures, with your model, with like your sort of design studies. And I found like it was like night and day. Like these kids these students, sorry, never questioned why the way that they present is the way that they present. They've just always done it a specific way, and it's always very stiff, and it's almost like it almost doesn't matter the way that they used to do it, because they're just getting it over with, and their designs don't get any better because they're just trying to get it over with. But if you engage the people you're talking to, and it's almost like a performance in a way when you present to like a group of people.
Yeah.
When you have them engage and have them touch your stuff and encourage them, discourage the sort of authoritative versus like listener relationship, which is typically how architectural reviews go. Is there somebody standing, they're talking about their project, and you're just there to listen and maybe ask questions later, or maybe critique later. I mean, the role of us, the professor and myself, is to critique and like give them ideas on how they can improve, but it's sort of a bummer to think that it's just me and them, that me and the prof that are the authorities on it.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm like, just if you feel like it, present. We could sit down, we could have like a round table instead of like a formal review, and that's what they did. The rest of the reviews went that way, and it was, I feel, more helpful to the students to actually have their colleagues and us like converse about it, because it's almost
collaborative. Like that's a better way to progress.
And I think also as a presenter, you're less defensive about your ideas being critiqued if it's conversational.
Yeah.
Because it feels more collaborative, because people are trying to make your design better. People are like, there's 60 or there's 15 other people there that have great ideas, and they have a different 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 experiences and different perspective, and that always makes design better for some reason.
It's kind of like a case for inclusion and diversity sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And like with architecture school in Waterloo, they have work terms. So it's like 2 terms in school and 1 term abroad working for an architect, and it could be Toronto, it could be Montreal, but a lot of the Waterloo students can sort of, I don't know how they can hack it. I couldn't afford it when I was in school, but there's kids that have been to Berlin, there's kids that have been to like to Japan. So their design ideas are always like way more, like I would say, more valuable than mine. Like,
yeah, they have different perspectives. Yeah,
they have different perspectives on design. Like I may have a little bit more experience in a particular type of spatial practice, but they have a broader cultural experience, which is, I think, what makes good design. And that's the thing I will say that's really interesting about architecture school, is that it's so diverse. Like there was maybe like, and it's weird because myself and the professor are both like white, sort of middle class, mm-hmm. which is why I try to undermine that relationship between between me and the other students, like the traditional relationship. Because like architecture school is so diverse, and it's kind of like, I can't think, I don't know, because I haven't been in other schools, but I feel like it's one of the more diverse practices. Like there's students from everywhere, from all different sorts of cultures, and Waterloo specifically encourages that. How did we win, man?
I don't know. You saw that last goal. It's terrible.
Yeah, they were bad. As like an architect and as like an anarchist, I always felt that I could do more good by doing sort of teaching. Like I feel like I could do better by teaching students like to think differently about capitalism and about architecture, especially because architecture is so closely related to capitalism. Like we're almost like,
yeah,
it's the relationship is architects only work with people who have money and power and land. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So I've always,
that's rough.
Yeah. And I mean, you see this in architectural education, is that students are actually becoming less interested in architecture and more interested in installation art, which is, I think, because people are starting to get very discouraged by the systems that exist.
Yeah. I guess
like I don't want to work for a developer. I don't think anybody does. Like, that's not what people get into architecture or design for. Wow, they goofed, man.
Yeah, that's. I hope we